What's happening, everybody? Steve here, Cars with Steve, and today I'm going to show you everything you need to know about the Sync3 media screen inside of the 2022 Ford Explorer. Now, this is going to be the base media screen that you're going to see in a number of the different trim levels of the vehicle, and it's just the regular 8-inch media screen. So let's figure out how we can set up Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, use factory navigation, and everything in between. Next up, taking a peek at the media screen for the vehicle. So this is the 8-inch Sync3 media screen that's going to be standard in the majority of the vehicle lineup. We do have the option for a 10.1-inch, so a tablet-style screen where it would literally sit up and down. That's going to be standard in some of the higher trims, and it's available optional in some of the others. But taking a look here, so this one does have factory navigation. So we've got our base map summary, we've got what station or what's currently playing, and then we've also got our phone. So if a phone was connected, it would show up there. Once we actually connect a phone, it'll come back to this main screen to show you what this will look like. But we've got a button along the very top for our home screen, so if we're in any of the other options, we can just press the home button to get back to this main summary screen. This one lets us know if there's any data that's currently connected, so currently as of right now there's nothing. If we had a Wi-Fi connected at home and things like that, those would also show up as available options there. Now as we start to move down, so let's kind of go tab by tab so you can learn everything you need to know. Starting off with audio on the very bottom there, we've got quite a few options that are available. So we can change between sources, so our AM, FM, SiriusXM, etc. If we had a USB stick with MP3s, that would show up as an available option. If our phone was connected, that would show up as an available entertainment source as well. So we have quite a few options there. And then when we get into some of the sub-screens, so I'll show you this one in a second, we'll go direct tune, so we can literally tune out this way if we want. So we can direct tune by typing in a station this way, just pressing enter to change the station out. We can press the voice command prompt on the steering wheel, and we can change the station out that way as well if we want to, or we can just go old school and just use the tuning rocker down there instead. So we've got quite a few options that are available. As you can see, we've got a mix of AM, FM, SiriusXM, etc. in our presets. If we want to save a station that we've tuned to, we're literally just going to press and hold one of the available presets. It's going to overwrite, and as you can see there, the preset is now saved. And it is nice that we can literally do a mix of AM, FM, SiriusXM, etc. This is a great song, so let's do a quick audio test. Okay, so really nice, and this is the base audio system. So we do have the option for either a 12 or a 14 speaker system in some of the higher trim levels of the vehicle, but this is the base speaker system inside of the XLT. But one of the great things, like I said, we've got a few options for the actual sources and things like that, but if we go settings for a second, we've got our radio, we've got our radio text, or we can change it to a number of different presets. So I always recommend maxing it out to 6 available preset pages. And the reason why, we go back home and now we've got up to 30 individual presets there. So if you're a heavy radio listener, always recommend doing that. But if we change it up to SiriusXM now, jump back into settings, we've got a SiriusXM button instead. So we've got our preset pages, we've got our seeking categories, we can change out a pin if we want to lock out certain stations. We've got our music notifications, our game notifications, we've got our smart presets, we can lock out certain channels as well. So if we have explicit content, we can literally lock out whatever channels we want to. We can skip out certain channels and we can look at our current information there as well. So a lot of flexibility, but when we jump back, we've got quite a few other options there. So as you can see there, we can do a direct tune that way if we want to. We can look at all available channels there as well. So we've got our music, sports, news talk. We can kind of scroll left and right to go through different options. And that's going to be the basics of SiriusXM. So jumping into things like AM, FM, etc. So as you can see, right back to that base default instead. Next up is going to be our phone. So as you can see, as of right now, we currently don't have any phones connected to the vehicle. And it's really straightforward in order to be able to do it. So what we're going to do firstly is just hit add phone.
Search for your vehicle on your device and select it once it is found.
On our phone, we're just going to make sure Bluetooth is turned on. And we're just waiting for, here we go, Ford Explorer to show up, and we're going to connect there.
Confirm that the pin displayed on Sync matches the pin displayed on your device.
Okay, and the numbers match up, so pair and yes. Do we want to allow contacts and favorites to sync up? We'll say no for this one.
Stay alert to changing road conditions and use Sync's voice-activated features while your vehicle is in motion.
Okay, so currently connected there, automatic contact download, yes or no, and then we've also got our 911 assist. So we always recommend turning 911 assist on, and the big reason why is because if this thing is connected to your phone, the vehicle is connected to your phone, I should say, if you're in an accident, the vehicle is going to automatically dial 911 for us. So we're just going to hit finish, and as you can see, I'm fully connected. We've got my call list, contacts, my phone. If we had multiple phones connected, we could literally just hit change phone there, and it's going to pull us up to this main screen as well. We can jump back again. In order to jump back to our phone, we've got a few options there. Now, as of right now, we don't have Siri enabled on the phone, but if we did, we could press the voice command prompt on the steering wheel to get our Siri Assistant in there as well. But that's the basics of actually setting up a phone. We've got our keypad, so we can dial through this way as well if we want to. But one of the nice things is that inside of this vehicle, we also do have support for Android Auto, Apple CarPlay. So setting up Apple CarPlay straightforward, starting off with our USB cable, we're going to plug that into that front USB port there. Opposite end of the cable, we're literally just going to plug ourselves in, and we're just going to unlock the phone. Perfect, Apple CarPlay. So we just need to continue there, and we just have to make sure we agree to the settings there. Do we want to allow CarPlay while the phone is locked? Yes, we're going to allow that. And 1, 2, 3, we are connected. So we've got my phone, we've got my messages, we've got Apple Maps, we've got Google Maps, we've got Waze. We can use all of these directly through the middle screen. And that's a great thing because even if yours doesn't have factory navigation, we still have the option of using all of these different map applications directly through this middle screen, and it's stretched out across the entire screen there. And it is nice. Like, we do have some flexibility as to the way that this thing looks and even what content is showing up on the screen. If we go into our general settings on our phone, we go into CarPlay, we could literally look for this. Oh, I'm gonna have to guess now. Is it this one? Customize. Let's do a drag and drop. Bam. Perfect, that is the right one. Okay, so on the main screen there, we can literally adjust this as necessary. So you can see there, we've readjusted our audiobooks and podcasts. We can remove things as well. So we can literally customize this tray to look how we want it to look. So if you wanted Waze along the top there as well, we can kind of adjust this as necessary. Any apps that we've deleted are going to be along the bottom. If you've played around with it too much and you don't like the look, we just hit reset screen layout, and that's just going to bring us back to our factory default screen there instead. So we do have quite a little bit of flexibility as to what's actually showing up on this screen. Now, if we want to get back to the main sync screen, we can literally just unplug to disconnect, or we just hit the sync button there. That brings us back to the main screen. We can jump back into Apple CarPlay if we want to. We can jump in our CarPlay preferences, so we can remove the phone, we can disable Apple CarPlay as well. And that's really useful because if you want to be charged up without using CarPlay, that's literally how it's going to happen. But one of the great things is that even if we're using CarPlay inside the vehicle, we still do have the flexibility of, let's say, using Apple Maps while we've got our radio playing there instead. So we could literally be SiriusXM with a radio, etc. Now, if for whatever reason we turn the vehicle off, we go to turn the vehicle back on, we plug in again, it'll automatically relaunch into our CarPlay settings there as well if we've already accepted, etc. And moving back, so we've got our main summary screen there again. Back again, we can now go forward sync, which again brings us back to this main screen. So we've got our Apple CarPlay there. We go back to our home screen, which brings us back to this one. We can go CarPlay preferences, remove phone, and that's remove the phone from the vehicle for CarPlay, and then we can fully disable if we wanted to as well. So we do have some flexibility there. So as you can see, phone is now disabled, and we scroll across, we've got Apple CarPlay there. We remove the phone, remove, and as you can see there, Apple CarPlay is now gone from this settings screen. So it will show up again if we go to plug the phone in, but it literally is that simple, adding a phone in and connecting to Apple CarPlay inside of this vehicle. All right, now setting up an Android device is literally the exact same process. So if you weren't on this screen, let's say you're on the main screen there, you're on the home screen, etc., we can jump into phone along the bottom. We are still connected to the iPhone. So we can go to change phone this way, or we go to settings along the bottom and we click phone there. We can view devices, manage contacts, we can mute out when we're in privacy mode, and we've got a few other options. We go view devices and we can easily add in another device.
Search for your vehicle on your device and select it once it is found.
So we're literally going to do that. So on our Bluetooth, we're going to scan and we're going to look for our Ford Explorer there.
Confirm that the pin displayed on Sync matches the pin displayed on your device.
Everything's matched up, so that's
great. For your safety, please stay alert to changing road conditions and use Sync's voice-activated features while your vehicle is in motion.
And we are connected. Now, a couple things to point out. Because we've got our another phone connected, we could set one as the favorite. So if we set one as the favorite, it's if both phones are in the vehicle at the same time, which one is going to be connected? So what's the connection priority? So we can set that one up to be this one we just connected, whatever other phones, etc. And we can do that later on as well. We hit finish there and we are now fully connected to the vehicle. So as you can see, we hop into our phone, we've got my calls, we've got my contacts, we've got the phone itself. We can change out to multiple devices, and then we can literally select one of the others. So we can connect to media, we can connect to media there, or we can remove it as well. Hopping inside, we can disconnect it, make it a favorite, or we can remove it from the vehicle. So literally that simple. We hit remove the phone, and the original iPhone is now deleted. So it's that simple, being able to add and remove phones from the vehicle. And then very similar to what we saw on the Apple side of things, we can also use Android Auto. Straightforward, we take our USB cable, we plug it into that same port, take the opposite end, just plug ourselves in, boom, and we're going to give a second there. Okay, Android Auto extends the platform, so we need to continue. On the phone, we have to hit next, and we agree to the settings there, and literally takes a second, so Assistant will be right with us. Perfect. And here we go. So as you can see, we are fully connected. So literally that simple. We can press the button along the very bottom there to get to some additional settings. So our route guidance options and a number of other things. We've got our notification center as well as the Google Assistant. So we press this button in order to get to the main Android Auto screen again. So we've got our weather, maps, podcasts, and a number of other things that are available. And we can also customize the display. Now, we don't have the same customization options that are available on the iPhone side of things, but we still do have a few options that are available. So literally all we're going to do is on our phone, we're just going to search for Android Auto. Once we've found it, we're going to go for Android Auto settings, and we're going to click through. As you can see, we've got previously connected cars. We can customize the launcher. So we literally are just going to go drag, boom, we're going to drop. Now, one thing to note, we do actually have to close down Android Auto and relaunch in order for any changes we make here to come into effect along the screen. So it's not like the iPhone side of things where it's dynamic. We do actually have to change a few things around, and then we have to relaunch in order for these changes to take into effect. But we can customize the launcher. We've got our Hey Google voice detection there as well. So as you can see, we've got our voice assistant there as well. We've got our day-night mode for maps. We've got Android Auto while the phone is locked, weather, and a number of other things. So we have quite a few options and a lot of flexibility that's available there. If we jump back into our forward button there, that's going to bring us back to our sync screen. We go back home, we can hot button press to get into Android Auto. We can look at our preferences, so we can completely disable Android Auto. We can remove the Galaxy from the vehicle there as well. So we can go back home, and it's that simple. So if we wanted to, we could literally just unplug, and look at that. So we are fully connected there. So that's the way that this is going to look with our maps, etc. If for whatever reason we didn't have factory navigation in our vehicle, like I said, you can use Google Maps, Apple Maps, Waze, things like that, but connecting through either Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. Jumping into our settings there and scrolling across, Android Auto, we haven't actually removed the phone from yet. So we remove it, and watch this. Android Auto is also gone. So it's that simple. We jump into our phone, we can view devices, and we can add a Bluetooth device, or we can add Galaxy, etc. So we do have some flexibility as to what's going on here. We can disconnect, or we can completely remove the phone, and 3, 2, 1, and the phone is now deleted from the vehicle. And it literally is that simple, setting up an Android or an iPhone device in this vehicle. All right, next up, so we move back, and that's going to be the basics for our phone summary. Moving into our factory navigation, we have a few different ways that we can search. So we can literally just start typing in an address if we want to. So it will kind of complete there we go. So as you can see, so it's completing the search for us. So we have quite a few different options. We just kind of type, we give it a second, and then it does its thing. We can press and search that way as well. We can save it as a favorite, or we can just press start in order for it to literally be able to start to that route that we're taking there. We can press the back button there. We can exit out if we want to. One of the great things is that we can search by address. We can search by our history there as well, or we can type in GPS coordinates. So we do have quite a few different options that are available. And then by pressing this button along the very bottom, that's going to change out the keyboard layout. So we've got a few different options that are available as well. Moving back into this main summary page, we've got some options for our menu. So we've got different screen views. So if you want to, you can look at full map or the highway exit there. We've got our traffic data, so it's going to take a second, and there we go. So as you can see on the route that we're taking, we currently aren't taking one, so we've got no traffic list available. We've got some nav settings or map preferences. We can take a look at 3D models. We can look at our breadcrumbs, point of interest icons, or indent icons. The big one there is the breadcrumbs, because on our navigation map, if we actually start to drive around to different places, we can kind of zoom in there. So as we start to take different routes, it's going to drop little breadcrumbs along the areas that we've actually been to. So it is kind of a neat system that way. Moving back inside to our nav settings, we've got some route options. We can go the fastest, shortest, or the most eco-friendly route. We can always use the fastest route. We've got our HOV lanes, automatically find parking. We can also avoid route freeways, toll roads, ferries, tunnels, etc. So we've got some options there. Moving back, some navigation preferences. So that's specifically our guidance prompts. Do we want a voice letting us know as well as a tone when we've got an upcoming turn? Do we want it to just be a voice or just a tone? So we have got quite a few options there. And moving back again to this main summary page. We've got our where am I? We've got a few different options again for our search. We can look at our history, so things that we've gone to, we can scrap them out if we want to. We can look at our favorites, point of interest icons as well. So if we go favorites there, we've got the option of setting up additional favorites. We've got a home, work address, and things like that. So let's actually do something here. Let's go history. We've got this as an option there. We're going to save it as a favorite. There we go. So as you can see, we've now got Dairy Queen saved as a favorite. If we click on that favorite, we can now zoom in if we want to. We can edit it out. And one of the great things about editing out, we can change the name, we can change the location, we can delete it out as well. So if we go change name, we can literally type in whatever name we want to. So one of the great things is that if it's saved as a favorite inside of the vehicle, we can then say navigate home, navigate to work, navigate to Dairy Queen, whatever the case may be, and the vehicle will literally look into our favorites book in order to see where it actually needs to take us. Moving back again, that's going to be the basics of the summary screen, and we can also easily delete the history that way as well. Moving back to our main menu. Across the back, we can also set up our home or work address that way as well. And that's going to be the basics of using factory navigation, but it is really straightforward using the navigation inside of the vehicle there. So as you can see there, we can literally button press to get into the map. We can literally just do a pinch to zoom there as well, very simply. We can literally press this in order to give ourselves different modes as well. Next up, we've got our app menu there. So certain apps will work over Bluetooth, so I can think of Pandora and LiveX Live, which are radio apps that will work directly over Bluetooth there. We've got some advanced settings as well. So we've got some sound settings. So we can change out the treble, mid-range bass, balance, fade, our occupancy mode, so if it's only the driver that's in the vehicle or if it's going to be all seats. We've got our clock setting, which we can press the clock button there, or if we're on the home page, we can press the clock up along the very top in order to get to this settings menu as well. Change between hours, minutes, AM, PM. We can do our 24 or 12-hour mode. We can have it automatically adjust for daylight savings time as well as our time zone update. So if we're going East Coast, West Coast, whatever the case may be, it'll automatically update us based off of where we are, and we can also reset to our GPS location as well. Moving back into our settings, we've got some additional Bluetooth settings. So we can literally fully disable Bluetooth if we wanted to. So if we don't want any connections whatsoever, we can do that, or we can add in additional Bluetooth devices. We've got our phone, which we've already seen, so we're going to go there in order to add a phone. We can click along the bottom as well. We've got some radio settings, which same thing, we've already seen that one. Some advanced driver assistance settings there as well. So we've got cruise control, which will work 3 different ways. So we've got our normal cruise, which is exactly that. You think of any car with cruise, that's how it'll work. The adaptive is our set it and forget it cruise. So we set it at 100 kilometers an hour on the highway. If the car in front of us slows down, ours will automatically brake. If they pick up speed or get out of the way, ours will pick back up to our set speed again. Intelligent cruise works in conjunction with this tolerance level. So let's say it's got a tolerance of 5 kilometers an hour. If our cruise control was turned on and the speed dropped from, let's say, 80 to 60, and we've got a tolerance of 5, it's actually going to lower our speed by 15 kilometers an hour. So it is very smart from that perspective, and we can literally set this up very simply that way if we wanted to. Moving back, we've got a few different lane keeping modes as well, so 3 specific ones. An alert, if we start to veer over into a lane without signaling, we'll get a little bit of a steering wheel shake, almost as if we're running over rumble pavement. The aid is literally going to gently nudge us back into our lane, and the alert and the aid will do both. So we'll get a little bit of a steering wheel shake, and it'll bump us back into our lane. And then the intensity is the intensity of that steering wheel shake. Moving back, we've got our pre-collision assist system, which if you don't want the idea of that whatsoever, we can actually turn these things off. But if the vehicle senses a potential collision and you're not stopping in time, it'll literally actively brake for you. Or evasive steering will also come into play there as well, which essentially puts your steering wheel in hypersensitivity mode, so you can easily get out of the way of a potential collision. We've got our speed sign recognition in there as well. So we've got a tolerance level and whether or not we get a warning if we're going a little bit too fast. We've got our rear view camera, so our enhanced parking aid there. So as we go to shift into reverse, we've got our little parking options there. And then we've got our camera delay. So if we've got the rear view camera delay on, if our rear view camera is on and we go to drive forward, the delay means that the rear view camera will stay on for a few seconds as well. We've got our blind spot system. That lets us know if anybody's entered the blind spot on either side of the vehicle. Trailer sway control. If the vehicle senses that there's trailer sway going on, it's automatically going to apply engine braking to get that sway under control. We've got our parking aid, so that reverse sensing system, so the beeping that we get as we back up, we can turn that one on or off if we want to. Cross traffic alert, if we're going to back up and somebody's coming perpendicular, so from the left or the right side, it's going to let us know of a potential collision. The driver alert, what's going to happen is we've got a counter, and if we start to veer over too many times without signaling, it'll shake the steering wheel if we've got that lane keeping system turned on. But if we go over too many times without signaling, it's going to let us know we should probably take a break. We've got our vehicle settings there as well, and quite a few options. So we've got our 30-minute max idle. We've got our rear occupant alert as well. So as we go to turn the vehicle off, we've got this that will come up. So it is just a generic safety setting there, but we do have the flexibility to be able to turn it off if we wanted to. My Key gives us the flexibility to create certain limitations for a key fob. So if you're, I don't know, maybe lending the vehicle out to a child and you don't want them to go speeding excessively, you can lock it out to 100 kilometers an hour max if you wanted to. You can have it so that the volume can't go past a certain level, and there's a number of other things as well. We've got our modem serial number, remote start, which we can remote start through our key fob or through our cell phone if we wanted to. But what happens? Do we want to turn remote start off completely? But if we're remote starting, what happens there? Do we want to let the vehicle determine what the climate should be, or is it based off of our last setting? Seats and steering wheel, same idea. Do we want the heated or ventilated seats to come on, or do we want nothing to happen there? And then the duration of the remote start, so 5, 10, or 15 minutes. And moving back again, we've got a few other options. So we've got our wipers there as well. So courtesy wipe, what's going to happen is if we've got our windshield wipers going, it's going to wait for a second at the end and then go one more time to clear away any sort of excess liquid. And then our rear wiper went in reverse. So if our front wipers are going and we put the vehicle in reverse, our rear wiper will automatically turn on as well with that setting going. We've got our power liftgate, which means that we can enable or disable the switch on the outside. We've got some vehicle lighting, so auto high beams. So if our high beams are on, the vehicle senses an oncoming vehicle. It's going to automatically dim them before turning them off completely, and then it'll bring them right back on again. Our auto lamp delay, when we go to lock the vehicle, do the lights stay on for 10 seconds, 20 seconds, or 120 seconds? Back again, we've got some options for our locks. So we do have a few options, well, quite a few options there. So auto unlock when we go to turn the vehicle off. Mislock chirp means that if we don't have a door shut all the way and we go to lock the vehicle, it's going to chirp at us and let us know that we haven't shut a door properly. What happens when we remote unlock? Do all doors become unlocked, or is it just the driver door? So you've got some options there. Moving back again, we've also got our door keypad code. So we've got a 5-digit number that we can enter on the outside of the vehicle to get in if we don't have our key fob with us. And we can either use the factory number that comes with it, or we can set up multiple 5-digit numbers as well. So if you're going to remember another number easily, you can easily set that thing up if you need to. We've got our Forward Pass Connect there as well. So the vehicle can be used for a hotspot for up to 10 devices, which is amazing. You do need a data-only plan through your cell phone provider in order to be able to get that. But we do have quite a few different options that are available there. So we can turn the hotspot on or off. We've got some different options for the settings there as well. So as you can see, we've got our hotspot password. We can edit the password as well. We've got our data usage, your account, and a number of other things. Moving back, we also do have our general settings. So we can change between English, Spanish, or French. We've got our temperature units, so we can either go Celsius or Fahrenheit. We've got our measurement units, so things like kilometers, liters per 100, miles per gallon, etc. We've got some options for our tire pressure, the beeping that we're getting. If that drives you nuts, you can turn it off there as well. We've got some basic abouts. We can reset a few different ways as well. So if your Forward Pass app on your cell phone's acting up, or if you need to give somebody a boot off of the app, you just go Forward Pass Connect Reset. Or if you're selling your vehicle, you can just do Master Reset to bring everything back to the factory default screen instead. All right, next up, we've got quite a few other options. So we've got our Wi-Fi as well. So we can connect to a Wi-Fi network at home, which is definitely a nice thing. So definitely recommend Wi-Fi at home. And once you do that, turn on system updates as well. So the big reason why is because if the vehicle senses that there's an update available, if you're connected to Wi-Fi at home, it'll automatically update the vehicle for you. We've got our 911 assist, which we do need a phone connected for that to work, but with it enabled, if we're in an accident, our phone's connected, it's going to dial 911 for us. Mobile apps, so certain apps will work strictly over USB as well. So we've got the flexibility of enabling and disabling as necessary. We've got some display options. So as nice, as bright, as beautiful as this display is, if you find it's a little bit too much, you can turn the display off if you want to, button press to bring it back to life, or we can go into a calming screen there instead. So we'll calming screen, same idea, button press to bring that back to life as well. Jumping into our settings, back into display, we've got some options for the background brightness, and as of right now, it's technically in the daytime mode, but auto mode means it's going to flip between the daytime or the nighttime, just depending on how bright it is outside. So I personally love the look of the nighttime mode, so I would always leave it there, but it's going to be a matter of you and what your personal preferences are. So we go back in 3, 2, 1 to the auto mode, there we go, perfect, and back again. We've got some voice control options, so advanced mode means we won't get as many notifications when we press the voice command prompt on the steering wheel. So if we change stations, it'll just change the station rather than confirming the station with us. Voice command list is exactly that, so that's the list that comes up here. Whether or not that one shows up is up to you, and then we've got a phone confirmation, so do you want to call such and such person, yes or no? We've got our valet mode, so we enter in a 4-digit number in order to be able to lock the screen out. So that means that a valet driver can't look through your previously saved destinations, previous addresses, phones, connected things, etc. So we'd literally lock this whole screen out as well. And then lastly, back to our navigation there. So we've got our map preferences, route guidance, and things like that. So back to that main screen that we've already seen. But that's going to be the basics of that Sync3 media screen in a nutshell. Well, folks, that was a look at the media screen inside of the 2022 Ford Explorer. What did you think? I can't wait. Hopefully 23 we see the Sync 4 system with Android Auto and Apple CarPlay that are wireless, but it is still nice to know we've got that at least as an option. But if you run into any problems, you have any questions, drop down in the comment section below and let me know. More than willing to talk you through any issues that you might be having. But if you enjoyed the video, thumbs up and share it with your social networks. And until I see you next time, take care.